This is an appreciation video of Marjorie Taylor Greene, and it's not even sarcastic. I also think it's a warning to people in the UK who believe Farage and the lies that he spins. So if you're not aware of Marjorie, she's a US senator who 100% bought into the lies of Donald Trump. She believed that he won that election, the one that he lost. She believed that people were out to get him. Basically, she believed whatever Donald Trump said. But she also believed a lot of conspiracy theories, which could imply that Marjorie isn't very well. And in fact, her demeanour would imply that she's not very well. And we know that Trump, a bit like Farage, really appeals to people that don't feel very well. She bought hook, line and sinker into QAnon, for example. But let's not forget, people believe conspiracy theories when their mental health means that they're unable to look at a bigger picture. Like they need a simple answer. Climate crisis. Well, there can't be a climate crisis. That's too big a problem, so it must be a hoax. I'll believe the hoax because that fits well with me. People that believe conspiracy theories are not bad people. They're just ill people. Social media makes it really easy to fall down a rabbit hole. If you're a vulnerable person and you start to see these conspiracies and you buy into it, the algorithm takes you further and further down, which is why the same people that didn't believe in COVID believe that trans people are trying to take over the world, that believed in QAnon, it's the same sort of trajectory. But what's really interesting about Marjorie is she seems to have come out of the rabbit hole. She was on The View the other day saying that she no longer believed QAnon, but also saying, quite honestly, that she thought that she'd just fallen down that well, for want of a better term, thanks to social media. And I'm going to bring it back to the UK again, because Nigel Farage will often talk about the WEF, the World Economic Forum, and make out that it's this conspiratorial organisation trying to rule the world. He knows, well, maybe he doesn't, that it's not. But once you're in that rabbit hole, you get sucked into everything else. And these things that you get sucked into are really clever because they make you only believe the people that have told you what you now believe to be the truth. Like, there wasn't any COVID, it was a scam. Or, yes, the WEF is trying to rule the world. You believe those people, because those people are also saying, don't believe any other organisations, they're all lying to you, we are the ones to trust. It's very clever, but it's very manipulative. So for Marjorie to suddenly realise that QAnon wasn't real is quite a big deal. But there's one thing Marjorie was always clear on, that the Epstein files had to be released. And of course, up until fairly recently, until there was the threat that the Epstein files would be released, Donald Trump kept saying the Epstein files should be released as well. In fact, he said when he was in the middle of his Please Elect Me campaign, he said, elect me and I will release those files. And then suddenly he won't. But Marjorie Taylor Greene has always stood up for the survivors. But here's where Marjorie Taylor Greene differs massively from Nigel Farage, who of course also recently jumped on the grooming gang scandal bandwagon. And whereas Farage used a survivor and abused 5 other survivors by lying, and some 18 days later still hasn't given an apology because he's never cared about the survivors, he's cared about the division that the grooming gang scandal can raise in the UK. But Marjorie Taylor Greene is different because she genuinely has stood for years side by side with the survivors. And in a recent press conference has said, release the files and she will personally name everybody that's involved in the house. In other words, she was prepared to blow it wide open. But instead of being seen as the patriot that she desperately wants to be, Trump has turned against her and called her a traitor. A traitor for staying true to the survivors that want all those names out into the open. And as I suspect, ill politicians still practically fall over themselves to support Trump, Marjorie's support for those survivors did not waver one bit. And I guess what Trump didn't plan for was somebody that truly believed in something that was good. So Marjorie hasn't ran away, even though she's been very clear that there are more threats to her life now for standing up for survivors than there's ever been. She has stood firm, and instead of hiding away, has done the media rounds to say that those files should be released and those women should have their moment of accountability. And I think what's so sad about her interviews is that she's still clearly struggling with Donald. Like, she still really rates him, and she just can't understand why he won't release the files. And I don't know, is it sad? Is it pathetic? Is it quite endearing that instead of condemning him, she wants to pray for him? And as one of the most divisive political figures over in the US, she's completely stepped back and said that it has to stop, and has apologised for her part in it, because that's all that matters to her, is for those survivors to get their justice. So it's a cautionary tale, isn't it, for those people that just believe the cult, with an L, of personality of a populist politician. And yet, as soon as one tiny bit of it unravels, they're left trying to find their way, trying to work out what they now believe in. But all kudos to Marjorie Taylor Greene, because she knows that those survivors of Epstein's trafficking need their moment. And she is not going to stop until they get it. So it's an interesting one, isn't it? Somebody that has been so polarising is suddenly the only one that has the balls to stand up to Donald Trump. As you were.